everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will call the meeting to order at 5:15 p.m. We're going to start out. I'll have some remarks in a minute, but we're going to start out as we always do. So here we are going to rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you. Mr. Zerwa, would you please conduct a roll call? Certainly. Mr. Stein.
Present.
Mr. Conroy. Here. Here. Mr. Hall. Here. Mr. Henry. Here. Mr. Perrier. Mr. Perrier. Here. Mr. Potiker. I'm here. Mr. Rosenquist. Here. Good to see you, Bobby. Mr. Timmons. Here. Ms. Waldron.
Here.
Everybody's present. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, also joining us via voice, our HR Director, Tim Kimblem, and Treasurer Davis, who will participate in the executive session. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Again, thank you all for joining us for this new format. At least it's certainly new for the entire legislature to meet this way. The public has been informed on how to join us, so there may be members of the public with us now. I'd like to just let everybody know that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 2.1, which allows us to do that. At the end, we anticipate an executive session. We will go into an executive session. We can assure you that it will just be folks, legislators in executive session, any staff that would be necessary. So thank you all again. And I believe all the legislators have received a copy of the stenographer's minutes of the March 11th, 2020 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. May I have a motion? I have Bobby Hall's motion. May I have a second? Second. Who is that on the second? Okay, Chris? Yeah, Bobby and Chris. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Carried. For our meeting format tonight, we will not have any public comment this afternoon. However, any members of the public that are listening or attending here, they're welcome to express their concerns and comment by emailing us at www.legislature@ClintonCountyGov.com. That's ClintonCountyGov, one word.com. www.legislature@ClintonCountyGov.com. Public can send any other concerns or comments to that. We will now, as we always do, go to our committee reports. Each legislator chairs one of the 10 standing committees. I'll call on the chair of each committee, alphabetical order by committee. Starting with Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Perrier, I see you up there in the left-hand corner. You made it. Do you have a report for Buildings and Grounds? No audio.
Can't hear you.
You got your audio on, Francis? Can't hear you. Are you muted? Francis is muted. Francis, hold on a minute, Francis. Just 1 second. We can see you very well. We can't hear you. Do you hear me? Oh, no. Now a little bit. Yep.
Okay, start over again.
Yeah.
Committee met Monday, March 9th. James Cleveland, the Superintendent of Building and Grounds, discussed the 2020 Master Plan project, which will consist of replacement government center roof. Mr. Cleveland is researching ways, including the use of consolidation bidding to bid this project in an effort to reduce the cost. The Building and Grounds Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 13th. Has been canceled. End of report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrier. So, Chairman, this is Mike Zerlo. Francis, I do know that I had a conversation with Superintendent Cleveland, who I believe contacted you, but as we move forward here, we will have further discussions, but the 2020 master plan probably could be held off an additional year if we don't need to borrow that $500,000 this year. It probably would be beneficial. So we'll have further meetings on that, further discussions on that. But that's something that we may want to discuss pushing off to 2021.
Okay, we'll discuss that at our next meeting, whenever that'll be.
Thank you. Children and Family Services, Legislator Potiker.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Children and Family Services Committee has not met the last regular session. The meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th has been canceled. End of report.
All right, thank you, sir. Economic Development and County Operations, Legislator Rosenquist.
Yes, sir. The Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting has not met since the last regular session, and the April meeting has been canceled. And report.
Thank you, sir. Finance, Mr. Timmons.
The Finance Committee has not met since the last regular session. The Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, April 1st has been canceled. And to report.
Thank you. Health, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has not met since the last regular session. The committee was pulled on resolution number 218. The meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th has been canceled. End of report.
Thank you very much. Human Services, Legislator Conroy.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Human Services Committee has not met since the last regular session, and the April 1st committee meeting has been canceled. End of report.
Thank you. Personnel, that would be me. The Personnel Committee has not met since the last regular session. The meeting scheduled for Monday, April 6th has been canceled. Chairman, it's my understanding that you have conveyed to Ms. Kimblum that the only personnel actions that you will be undertaking are those necessary having to do with the current COVID-19 situation. So it's only going to be specific items. That accurate? Yes, that is accurate. Yes. Thank you. Next is Plattsburgh International Airport, Legislator Hall.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The regular meeting for tonight was canceled, as you know, and we go in executive session to talk about a couple of items at the airport, the restaurant, and a couple of other items. But I would recommend strongly to the people of Clinton County and our Canadian friends that anybody that's taking a flight to Florida, please call and check. There's a lot of flights that have been canceled due to the fact that the governor of Florida does not want flights coming from New York State into Florida. So I would recommend highly that anybody that's flight and has a flight to Florida, call and check on their flight. The report.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Public Safety, the Legislator Castine.
The Public Safety Committee last met on Monday, March 9th. The committee was polled on resolutions number 221 and 222. The meeting scheduled for Monday, April 6th has been canceled. That's the end of the report.
Thank you. Transportation, Legislator Dane.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Committee also was canceled and has not had a meeting since the last regular session. The Clinton County Public Transit canceled all effective service effective Saturday, March 21st. in order to support the efforts to suppress the virus. Service will resume again as conditions warrant, which is unknown at this point. The committee was polled on Resolution 223, and the meeting scheduled for Monday, April 13th has also been canceled. End of report.
Thank you. I don't know, are there any liaison reports? I don't believe there are. The only one that I think might have something is Patty Waldron at LCLG. Patty, do you have something on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We will be meeting via teleconference on March 31st. The emergency of lending to our existing businesses is going to be a priority to help them through this COVID crisis. And these are the healthy loans that we've had out there for these small businesses. So there will be an effort to make sure that they can get through this crisis being closed. End of report.
Okay. And did you have something on inter-county as well, Patty?
No, that has also been canceled, and we did cancel the April 23rd in Clinton County as well.
Okay, excellent. Did I miss anybody? Has anybody got any liaison reports that we need to hear?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead. For somebody? Okay, thank you. Moving on. Do the staff members have any report? Ms. Kelleher.
I would request an executive session to discuss the sale and lease of real property. And just as a public service announcement, I would like to let all the legislators know that starting this week and continuing next week through the rest of the year, there's been very complicated paid and unpaid family leave put in place that affects most businesses in our area. The Chamber of Commerce has been doing a lot of presentations on that. I've put together some very simple flow charts to really simplify what this stuff is. It's available for free on the Chamber website. So if you're getting questions from constituents, whether they think they need leave or whether, businesses saying, how do I do it? That's a great, a source of information.
Thank you. Mr. Zerlo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think I would like to take this opportunity just to let the legislature know what we've been doing as a county. There's a lot been going on. I meet daily via teleconference with the county department heads to fill them in on everything, to provide them updates, to provide them some encouragement, to thank them for their service. So we do that every day at 11 o'clock. At 4 p.m. each day, Mr. Henry and I are on a conference call with the governor being briefed. And each evening at 7 p.m., NISAC holds a call for county leaders. I participate in that along with Mr. Henry and Ms. Kelleher. So we are getting a lot of best practices. We are implementing. It's not easy, but we are staying on top of all the information that we feel we need to put things in motion. As you've probably heard, number of cases. We have 9 confirmed positive COVID-19 cases in the county. One of those, the most recent one, is an inmate at Clinton Correctional Facility. That is of larger concern to us because we're not certain of the state protocols, and we are working, our health department is working with the Department of Corrections. If there's any good news to be had here, 6 of our confirmed cases were a direct result of close contact with case number 2, which means the work that our health department is doing is paying off because those 6 people were already in quarantine. So it reduces the community spread. So it's not an easy task. Our health department is doing a whole bunch of outreach on all of these cases, but If there's any piece of good news, it is that 6 of our 9 cases were directly related to case 2 and were already under quarantine. 90 tests have been negative in the county. There's 81 people in quarantine, or 81 in quarantine with no symptoms, and 10 are isolated with, possibility of symptoms. New York State budget. We are being told that this could be completed as early as next Tuesday. I will tell you right now, it is going to be grim to county government. It is being negotiated by the head of the Division of Budget, as well as the head of the fiscal staffs of both the Senate and the Assembly. Although I'm sure that the members are involved, it is going to be a budget that does not have a lot of policy in it, and that most likely provides the governor the ability to take certain actions if certain revenues are not achieved throughout the year. There is one piece of good news that the reauthorization of our 1% sales tax, all of the reauthorizations, all counties are up this year, is going to be part of that document. Although that 1% is going to yield a lot less than we would like, it is going to be reauthorized. That being said, we are going to be under a considerable amount of fiscal stress throughout 2020 and beyond. Sales tax estimates, I shared with you a document. Best case scenario, gross cost, gross sales tax could be anywhere short by $2.2 million to a worst case scenario of about $6.7 million. So we are going to have to find ways to get through this as a county. We're looking at cash flows. We are looking, I've told department heads that things are going to be different going forward. They're looking at expenses already. To the point that I made with respect to our our master plan project this year, that's one thing we could push off. So we are working diligently to try to put us in the best case that we can. Mr. Dane, I know what Rodney Brown told you years ago, but with less passengers in the airport and paying passenger facility charge and less passengers parking, it is going to become difficult for our model to pay for debt service. So we're going to have to come up with that, coupled with the fact that New York State is looking currently estimated at about $15 to $17 billion shortfall. So that is also going to trickle down to county and town governments. So there's a lot ahead of us. There is one piece of good news. The federal bailouts, it looks like it will be passing the House in short order. There is some transportation money in there, specifically designated to airports. We're looking how that money could be spent, but it looks though it could be based on the same formula as entitlement money, which is if we hit 100 for every 100,000 employments, we may be in receipt of $1 million. So there is the possibility that hopefully we can use that to pay off our debt service. As far as our workforce goes, our offices, we were mandated by Executive Order 202.4 mandated to have our non-essential employees to be working at 50% of capacity. Department heads quickly convened, and that was put into motion. I will tell you now that we are operating well below the 50% threshold for those non-essential employees. I've directed staff to do that, to comply with, social distancing standards. All essential operations are still in play. Sheriff's Department, nursing home, our CPS employees, our, what am I missing, Jackie? Sheriff's Department. They're all operational. The Department of Motor Vehicles has been closed by the state, and several offices are open by appointment only. But in all actuality, the governor's pause order has dictated that people should not be using this building anyway. But the county is not closed. We are open for business, and we are providing services at a level commensurate with our staffing. So we are moving forward. Chairman, that's all I have, unless there's any questions for me.
I'll open it up for questions for Michael. Anybody have any questions for Mike? Okay.
Mike, thank you.
That Michael was there a question? Did I miss somebody? Okay.
I didn't have a question. I was just thanking Mike.
Go ahead, Patty.
Actually, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. I was just thanking Mike. Might have came out late.
Well, yeah, Mike's doing a lot of worrying. That's what. There's nothing to thank yet. So, but I will tell you that your management team is working hard. Sheriff's Office, we had, they stepped up to the plate. We had a little issue with our Native American friends in Altona on selling some cigarettes, and we quickly reached out to our contacts. Our Sheriff's Department did, and explained the public health nature, and they certainly adhered to what we said, and that was ameliorated. We had an issue at Walgreens in Skyway Plaza that they picked this week to have a going out of business 90% sale, which immediately resulted in a full parking lot at the Skyway Plaza in complete violation of governor's orders. So we had to, city police responded to that, and we're thankful. So we're still trying to get that message out there, and by all means, and I believe we're having another press conference in a day or so, that the best way to prevent the spread of this disease is following the pause standards, the social distancing standards, and the hygiene standards. So we're doing our best. The health department has been out straight. Mr. Canoza is doing a great job. Aaron Strife and his staff is the front line with respect to communicable disease, and she is doing a great job as well. So we are working through it. I just wanted you to know that we are open for business, and we're prepared to answer any of your questions and take any of your calls at any time.
Just a question, Mike. How many people do we have that aren't working? Do you have a rough idea?
I would say, I'm guessing, but I would say we are, for our non-essential employees, we are probably at 20% of our non-essential workforce.
Do they get unemployment? Are they getting paid, or what's the status?
I'll let Jackie correct me when I screw this up, but per Executive Order 202.4, I believe through April 15th, they are to be paid and are not to be charged accrual per the state of New York.
Okay, thank you.
So we do not have at this point any decision to make on that.
In addition to what Michael just said, in the meetings that Michael and I have every day, and various ones I have every day, we have also, through the Office of Emergency Services, we have stood up a unified incident command center that consists of the incident commanders of myself, Sheriff Favreau, John Canoza, and Eric Day. We've had several conversations, had 2 meetings. We just had one at like 3 o'clock this afternoon. The purpose of the Unified Incident Command Center is to set up what we are trying to do, particularly, especially in the public health sector, as to what our goals are, what our trigger points are, if we hit certain numbers, what we need to do to ensure that we have enough hospital beds and the structure that we need to make sure that we can respond not only to what is going on now, but what may happen in the future. As part of that unified incident command, we have department heads. Mike Zerlo is part of that. Rodney certainly would be part of that. So we have a structure in place through the Office of Emergency Services that can respond to incidents today and incidents in the future. So there's lots of meetings going on. There's lots of folks involved. Obviously, the point of the spear is the health department, but it takes a lot of departments across the county to react to that, and we are, and we have busy days in front of us.
There is one more I thought of while you were speaking. PPE, personal protective equipment. Our Eric Day, Director of Emergency Preparedness, Emergency Services, has and continues to place orders with the state procurement system. It is coming in slowly. The first delivery was that of sanitizer, which was delivered to all county departments and all other municipalities within the county. So everybody has got a source of that, even though local governments are having reducing operations as well. That's all been dispersed and other people on the list. With respect to gowns and masks and gloves, the state of New York has directed that although we received a ton of requests from community agencies and such, we have been ordered to direct that to the hospital at this point. So that's what Eric's doing. We all wish that we could get things quicker, but they are coming in, and we are dispersing that equipment. We were short on test kits for COVID-19. And through a outreach with the Congresswoman, we were able to procure some test kits. In addition to that, some came through the state system again. So, we certainly like and need more, but there are test kits available right now in the county.
Thank you, and I would like to just expand on that. Our assembly, our assemblyman, our senator, our Congress people, Elise, they have been very responsive. I've called them, I've talked to them. They have been responsive, and they're working hard on our behalf as well.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mike, could you explain or say a few words about our county home on as far as visitors goes, and do we have enough equipment? Do we have enough equipment there for everybody?
Yeah, at this point, yes, they are in the sphere of people that receive PPE received from the state of New York. So there are no visitors at the nursing home. The state of New York has put out a protocol for nursing homes that all nursing homes in the state of New York are to follow. Our nursing home is complying with those state standards.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
I talked to Wendy just the other day as well. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I think it was. I talked to Wendy, and she's getting the support that she needs.
Yeah. So obviously, the longer this goes, the more pressure is placed on that staff. But they to this point have stood up and are doing an admirable job.
Anything else in that regard before we move to the resolutions?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Patty.
So I know there's other states that have been utilizing dental office and donating their PPE equipment to the cause, and I didn't know if that was a thought here in Clinton County to reach out to our local doctor's offices that really aren't running any business right now.
Well, I heard about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. That was on one of our teleconference calls. I don't know if, we will check on that. I don't know if Eric has done that yet or not.
I'll confirm.
Okay.
Two already have. Two now.
I believe two have voluntarily that Rodney has pointed out, but I will have Eric follow up on that and put a call out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion.
Okay, a question for Mike on the test kits. Do we feel we have an adequate number, or what's the protocol we're using? We don't seem to have a lot of tests being done.
I'm not an expert, but to my knowledge, you know, a lot of them are being saved for the healthcare professionals, unless there are certainly symptoms that warrant usage. The NISAC call has indicated to us that the whole theory behind testing as we progress through this crisis is going to be less testing and more assumption of positive cases. So maybe they're doing that in contemplation of no test kits. I don't know. But I will tell you that New York State, most Rockland County South, but the New York State has tested more than by far than any other state, and I believe at this point more than other countries combined. So I believe we are over the 20,000 tests in New York State. So I can't speak specifically, legislator Castine, on how we are doing. Last I knew, we were approximately, you know, 6,500 test kits, and you know, always seeking more, but not in crisis mode.
Thank you.
Anything else? Want to rush anybody? Okay. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendation of the committees. Mr. Zerlo, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Certainly. Resolution 218, authorizing employee phone reimbursement related to telephonic counseling, mental health, and addiction.
Motion by Legislator Waldron, second by Legislator Conroy. Roll call.
Discussion, Chairman. This is simply related to the COVID outbreak. A lot of our mental health counselors, which is a very important part of the solution, are working from home. And Rochelle Gregory requested that we offset a portion of their phone bill. In addition to that, every call they take becomes a billable call. So it's although there is an upfront county cost, this should result in a positive revenue stream to the county.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Oh my God, I don't have my cheat sheet.
Mr. Perrier?
Yeah, Mr. Perrier, Ms. Waldron.
Wrong person, I don't do that anymore.
Bobby.
Oh yeah, sorry. Mr. Perrier.
Mr. Perrier is muted again.
We lose Francis?
He's muted.
We had Francis. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Timmons, we'll move for the Republicans until Mr. Perrier comes back on board. Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 219, authorizing contract with Logan Teleflex Incorporated, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, Mr. Hall. Second, Mr. Perrier. Second, Mr. Timmons. Discussion.
Well, he can still second.
Who? Francis?
Yeah.
Even though, okay. All right, then we got motion, Mr. Hall, second, Mr. Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried, thank you. Resolution 220, amending Resolution 1054, dated December 23, 2019, titled Authorizing Various Contracts of the Year 2020, Plattsburgh International. Motion, Mr. Hall. Second, Mr. Potiker. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 221, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation from the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program Reserve, Sheriff's Department. Motion, Mr. Castine. Second, Mr. Dane. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Resolution 222, authorizing contract with Susan Skinner, Sheriff's Department. Motion, Mr. Castine. Second, Mr. Hall. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 223, awarding bids for asphalt, concrete materials, and delivery for the years 2020 through 2022, Highway Department. Motion, Mr. Dane. Second, Mr. Conroy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 224, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Medicare Improvements for Patients and Providers Act, Office for the Aging. Motion, Mr. Conroy. Second, Mr. Castine. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 225, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Child Advocacy Center grant, District Attorney's Office. Motion, Mr. Castine. Second, Mr. Dane. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Just checking. Mr. Perrier, are you with us yet? Ronnie, can you check with Dave? No, you're still muted. We can't hear you, Francis. Okay, we will continue with Mr. Timmons in your place so we can hear you. Okay, good. Resolution 226, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the rabies control budget, Health Department. Motion, Legislator Waldron. Second, Legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 227, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families Non-Residential Domestic Violence Program, Social Services. Motion, Mr. Potiker. Second, Mr. Dane. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 228, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Home Energy Assistance Program, Social Services. Motion, Mr. Potiker. Second, Mr. Hall. Discussion. Not particularly on this resolution, Chairman, but I just want to let the board know that all benefits provided by the Department of Social Services are being provided. There were extensions, allowable extensions given by the state and federal government, so benefits were extended. So even with shorter staff, those folks in need of supplemental nutrition benefits and home energy assistance benefits, and obviously public assistance is all remains available to the clientele. Anything further on that? Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 229, authorizing the county treasurer to reappropriate 2019 funds for various accounts, Treasurer's Office. Motion, Mr. Timmons. Second, Mr. Hall. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 230, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Youth Scholarship Grant Youth Bureau.
Motion, Mr. Boddicker. Second, Ms. Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
I'm looking for a motion to waive Rule 13.2. Can I have a motion? Moved by Rosenblatt, second by Calvin, or Rick. I'm sorry, that was Rick. Okay, second by Rick. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Resolution 231, authorizing contract with Certified Payments, District Attorney's Office.
Motion, Legislator Castine. Second, Legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 232, authorizing grant extension with New York State Department of Transportation, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, Legislator Hall. Second, Legislator Perrier. Discussion.
This resolution obviously just keeps hope alive.
Good way to put it.
So true.
Roll call. Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 233, authorizing contract with Quality Inn and Suites Health Departments.
Motion, Legislator Waldron, second by Legislator Conroy. Discussion.
We previously passed resolutions with two motels in the area, which are preferable. Now that the hotel business is lagging, the Quality Inn and Suites reached out to the health department and offered up certain rooms that could be used as a temporary residence for persons that are non-symptomatic who may be quarantined, either voluntary or involuntary. So this provides the health department with more options should they need them.
Roll call.
Mr. Timmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. So that is the agenda at this point, Chairman.
Okay. When do you want to discuss?
Right now.
So we're looking for a motion for executive session?
No, this is public session.
Okay. So
I just want to check, is Kimberly, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So this next discussion was, I believe, raised by Legislator Dame on what abilities we have as a county government to assist in providing some sort of waiver of certain fees on our property taxes. So, Kimberly, I'm going to turn it over to you. And Jackie, please participate in this conversation. And then we can certainly have a discussion. The draft resolution that you have in front of you is a resolution that needs to be amended. We can work off from, but this was our effort to get something in front of you to facilitate this discussion.
Okay, so there's a couple of different issues here. One is the waiving of any interest, and the other is extending the payment time. Only the governor has the ability to extend the property tax as they have done on the federal level with personal income tax. So what you can do as a body is, as it is in this resolution, is to cancel the March interest, in effect, giving people another month to pay. Normally what would happen is if you did not pay your taxes in the installment program by March 31st, on April 1st, there would be a 1% charge. What this resolution would do is not have that penalty, and so in essence, people could make their March payment all the way through the end of April.
Unfortunately, this only applies to those people who are in the installment program. If you were not in the installment program, you pay your local collector, and any fees, interest, penalties go to them. So we do not have jurisdiction to mandate that they do anything. We certainly can recommend that they consult with their town attorney to see if they can waive those interests for their own municipality. But this is the limitation that we have. This is what we can do.
Any questions?
Yeah. Yes, Mark. I have a question or two of Kimberly. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kimberly, is there anything that we can do, and even if we have to request to the state office, for people that may not be able to make that March payment or even that April payment? That I think is going to happen because this thing is certainly not going to be over. Our economy is not going to be back by the end of March or the end of April. Is there anything we can do? And obviously, Mike, you might want to chime in on this. I certainly don't.
Kimberly, I can chime in. I know that I have personally made the request for the governor's office. And I believe Kimberly has also made the request to the governor's office. We have discussed it statewide. On our regional call with the governor's statewide local representative, we talked about it today. He has made no determinations on real property tax. They know it's an issue. They are discussing the issue, but have not made a determination. I will tell you that I brought it up through the NISAC chain of command too. And this may be part of the issue is some counties are not looking at this in the same vein that you described, and as such, some counties are seeking, want to make sure they receive as much property tax as possible. So. There are some people advocating a different position than we are. But I will tell you that we have, in fact, made that request to the governor's regional rep and the statewide rep. And we discussed it with our state representatives. So, Kimberly, I don't know if you've got anything to add.
Can I just break in for a minute? It has nothing to do with what you're talking about. Just hold on one second, Kimberly. Francis, we lost you. If Rodney Brown is going to call you, so please answer your cell phone, Francis Perrier, here in the next minute or two. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kimberly.
No, that's okay. Yes, I have reached out through phone, through text, through email, contacting the governor's office multiple times, as my colleagues are around the state. Most treasurers and finance officers I have spoken with have also done the same. We are all advocating that I am in contact with for an extension, but as I looked through the paperwork that was here when I first came on board about what happened during the ice storm, at that time, through that ice storm, there were 3 executive orders signed. So certainly the precedence is there, and that is what we are asking for. We are asking for an executive order to extend these timelines, but unfortunately it is only the governor who can do that.
If I could add, I think I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead. Mark Dane, go ahead.
I just want to say, Mike, you say based on your conversations with the New York State Association of Counties, there are some counties that probably don't want to do it because of obviously cash flow issues. I would ask maybe that our county preemptively take a look at our cash flow and see what we are able to do if and when the governor allows us to do that. I think it doesn't have to be one size fits all. As we know, Clinton County has been in a fairly positive situation as far as cash. Obviously, that's going to change in the future, but anything we can do, because we are going to have some hurting citizens who are at the risk of not just not being able to pay their property taxes, but are at the risk of losing their homes and just about everything else. So if we can withstand a delayed property tax payment for a few months or even longer, and those people that need it, I would urge that we look into it to see if we have the option, and whether we take that option or not. I think that'll be another discussion.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I talked to Treasurer Davis, and her finance manager is looking at our cash flow, and I'm waiting to hear back from her. We want to look about how much money we had coming in at revenue at this time last year, and what we have to outlay each month. We are looking at that. So hopefully we have the ability to make that decision, Mr. Dave.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Kimberly.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on just a minute. I got Jackie in here, Bob. Then I'll get to you.
Okay.
Mark, based on the email that you sent to the legislators a couple of weeks ago on this question, I researched the issue very thoroughly, and it is really well established in New York. I know you don't care what the real property tax law says, and there is not much flexibility. So what is in front of the legislature tonight, which is waiving the 1% interest fee for the month of March, is the only thing that is available and legal under the real property tax. So this is what can be done. Hopefully, the executive will give localities more flexibility going forward, and there might be more that the county government can do. But the governor has actually, in Executive Order 202.5, he has prohibited any local emergency declarations or orders. So there's not even any ability to consider doing something like that. And moreover, it's been crystal clear, cases going back to 1950, that localities are not allowed to extend deadlines. They're not allowed to say, we'll give you some more time, we'll give you a furlough. You either have to decline the interest or penalty, which is what the resolution in front of us does tonight for the month of March, or nothing. There's not a extension that you have the power to do right now. And there is a research memo on that. It's very dry, but if you would like it, I'd be happy to share it with you.
Thank you, Jackie. Hopefully the governor's office, with everything else they're doing to try to facilitate the people that are suffering this crisis, will come through on that, and we'll be able to maybe make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I want to assure you, Mark, that everybody in this room and outside this room, Kimberly as well, of course, has been working on exactly the questions that you had, and we'll continue to do so, as Michael said. And if we can get this resolution passed tonight, it's, as Jackie said, it's what we can do, and we will continue to try to do more, folks. A lot of it based on your question. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just to repeat it again, because I had talked to Kimberly at length yesterday. People of Clinton County, they've got to be aware. We are doing all of what we can do. We cannot do any more than this, and we all want to do more. But it's up to the governor to do it. We cannot.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, thanks, Bob. Thank you. So, Chairman, if there's no more discussion on this draft, if somebody wanted to move this as resolution number 234, we could act on it this evening.
I would encourage, if he agrees, I would encourage Legislator Dane. He showed leadership on this. I would encourage him to move this if he would.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion by Mr. Dane, and I believe that second was Mr. Hall.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, if Kimberly Davis, are you still there?
Yes.
So are we gonna be able to make public, is your office gonna be able to make this benefit to everybody public, so it may alleviate a little stress? I know it's not a big, but a little bit, just a little bit.
Yes, we absolutely can put out a press release, send it to both the newspapers, the television stations, Facebook, any way we have, we will get that out there.
Does it say? Thank you, Kimberly.
So, I think we lost you. So, yes is the answer to your question, Patty.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion on the draft resolution before us? 234. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, all of you. So now we need to enter executive session. I will now entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the sale and lease of real property. To discuss sale and lease of real property, may I have a motion? Motion. I have a motion by Legislator Rosenquist, second by Francis Perrier. We will now, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll now enter into executive session. Please stand by for a little bit. We'll let you know when we're good. We are out of executive session and back into regular session. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read, David, are we live? I'd like to read resolution number 235, awarding bid for sale of 2 properties, Treasurer's Office.
Move.
Okay, we have a motion by Chris Rosenquist. I see him. He's always in the center of the screen. Who's my second? I think you should give
I'd like to second that.
Legislator Waldron. Well, Legislator Waldron? That's right. Let's do this. Patty, would you make the motion?
Yep.
I would like to make that motion first, if I could.
Yep, I'll yield.
Suggestion, thank you. And the second by Chris.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We will be awarding that to the business to the highest bid on that. Anything further from anyone? So I would just, Chairman, I would like to thank everybody for their patience and their willingness to participate. I know this is not easy. I want to thank publicly David Randall, who has spent a lot of time and energy and effort putting this together. So, David, thank you, and please feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure there's questions that you're getting that maybe I can provide some insight to. I'm here every day, so please feel free to reach out to me with any questions you may have. I know I've spoken to all of you on this, but it's a good opportunity for me, and everybody I spoke to has agreed. Obviously, any legislator can call me anytime. I don't mean it that way. But what we're trying to do is just, with so much going on, is streamline the communications between the chair and the legislators. If I've been counting on Legislator Hall, Legislator Perrier, I call them, and they should be dispensing information to you. If you have questions, obviously you can always call me, but perhaps you could check with Legislator Perrier or Legislator Hall first. And if you're, and since standing committees aren't meeting, we are doing our resolutions by poll. But if there's discussions that without taking any sort of votes, if there's discussions that your committees have, feel free to have those discussions as a group, just as long as you're not transacting any votes. And then if any of those warrant, like we discussed an airport issue tonight in executive session, either a public viewing, a public discussion, the chairman has indicated that we would like to have those going a little out of order, like we could have those in public session or in executive session if warranted during our regular session. So I know we're asking to go a little bit out of order here, but this is what we need to do, at least in the short term. Any additional comments?
Just a thank you, Mark, to the management, to Mike, Rodney, all the county employees, and especially to you, Mr. Chairman. This is a hell of a way to get initiated as chairman in this unprecedented time, and I certainly appreciate the extra, hours you're putting in and the extra effort.
Harry McManus called and said this wouldn't have happened under his watch. He did, too. He did. Yeah, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that very much. But as you know, it's all about the staff. And y'all have been great help. I talked to all of you one time or another, and you're very understanding and very supportive, not only to myself, but to our staff here. We're going to need that because we're making decisions on the fly. Maybe in retrospect, in a couple of months or a few weeks, maybe they weren't the best we think they are, and we'll be looking for your support as we move forward, especially for our department heads and our staff that are making these tough decisions. So with that, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Move.
I have a motion by Calvin. I have a second by, I need a second.
Second?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a second by, I think that was Rick Potiker. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned, folks. Thank you all very, very much.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys.